Hello everyone, it's Jayden here for Student Pages. Hope you're all doing absolutely excellent once again. Welcome back to another Spotlight Sessions interview where today we are joined by the co-creator of Littlefoot, Matthew Reynolds. Matthew, to get us started, I think the most obvious question we can ask is, what drew you to film production in the first place, and what's sort of your process behind when you get involved with a project like this?
Well, I always liked movies as a kid, especially animated movies. I always liked going to the theater and stuff. And, there came a point in my life when I was seeing some movies that I would have done things slightly differently. I like the animation because, you can do so much with it. You can create worlds on a piece of paper. So that brought me into it. Littlefoot is probably my biggest project I've done so far. So I just do little things. I've done a lot of infographic instructional videos and stuff like that. So I just plotted out some Photoshop files, sort of a storyboard. And I'm kind of
Oh, sweet.
I'm sort of what you would call a CG generalist, I guess. So I do all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, no, I see the vision. It's good, It's like it's good to be able to sort of have this talent that you can use in different spaces, and also it's like I think it's interesting to hear that you. I speak to a lot of people who say, "Oh, I grew up loving films and that kind of thing." I don't think I've spoken to anyone yet who's said, "I loved films, yeah, but like all I could do is notice like the little things that I'm like, you know what?
There are films that I absolutely love that I think are perfect. Like The Lion King is obviously is definitely my favorite. The original, obviously. I always liked The Incredibles, live action things. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. But yeah, there were just some that were more anticipated movies. I won't name them specifically that I was expecting to see something from them, and I thought, you know what, that's not what I expected. So
Everyone's got one, yeah. It's interesting. But so with Littlefoot specifically, then, how did your involvement with that project come about? What sort of drew you to it, and how did you get involved?
yeah, that's a funny story too. So it was kind of out of the blue. It was a lot of luck. I've always been a fan of The Land Before Time. It was a couple years ago, and I was just, up in the middle of the night scrolling through stuff, and I saw this Facebook post with an early render of Littlefoot in 3D. And I thought it said, we're looking for people, need texture artists. And I hate to admit, this was like 3 in the morning, and I was just like, I was like, I just sent a message to whoever it was. It was obviously Joey, and I said, I've always loved Land Before Time, and this is like a dream for me if it, to be able to work on this, and I'm totally capable of. I've done 3D for 10 plus years, and I can do your textures for you or whatever. And then 30 minutes later, and I get the message back from Joe, and he's like, "Yeah, let me send you some stuff and have you look at it or something like that." And I'm like, "What the heck? What's this guy doing up at 3 in the morning?" And then I came to realize that he was over there in Britain or whatever. Anyway, and then it went from there. And so originally I was just doing the textures. So he gave me first, I can't remember. He had me looking at the Littlefoot, and then he said they didn't have a mom model yet. Primarily I've done modeling, 3D modeling. So we had these great models from this one gal, I can't remember her name, Instagram. She's modeled like every character from like every. Anyway, so she had given us Littlefoot and a couple other characters, and then we needed a mom. So I modified the mom model, gave us a detailed model of the mom, and started throwing textures on it for Joey. And then I modified the textures on Littlefoot. Yeah, so originally I just thought I was gonna be doing textures, and then Joey comes to me, he's like, "Okay, so you ready to rig them?" And I'm like, "Wait, what? You want me to rig these two?" And so all of my experience before this was pretty much in Maya, Autodesk Maya, and they're doing the whole project in Blender, and so I'm like, yeah, okay. And I quickly learned how to, texturing is pretty much the same. Yeah, I use Adobe Substance Painter for the texturing, so I could do it all in there. That's where I started. Things grew from there and moved on to just chatting with Joey, and we were updating storyboards and stuff like that. So
Yeah, no, you're all right. It's good to hear. And what was it sort of like working with Joey then? Like, because obviously you being co-creator, it's like, how did that collaborative process work given how far apart you were?
I think it started. He had the idea for several years. He wanted to do this, and then I think I just showed so much passion to him, and we really connected. We had other people come and go. He had a script, and then I looked it over, and then he was kind of just throwing ideas at me, and then I said, what if we did this, and and then he'd be like, okay, well. is do you think we could do this? And I'm like, well, we can do that if we're just tossing ideas around. And then came to assigning roles to people. We'd get more animators, and Joey would say, okay, well, I want to take care of this, and then I would delegate what files needed to be made available and give updates and pass all the information along to people. And
No, I imagine it could have still been really cool to work on it, like either way, no matter where you were. And I think as well, when you consider, the crazy cast that it's got as well, it's like I think it's just crazy to consider the absolute magnitude of the project. And I mean, on topic of the cast, actually, how have you and Joey sort of worked with the idea of, your cast aren't there in person, so how do you sort of make sure that they're all on the same track and like have a good understanding of the project?
Joey put out the word for he was looking for voices. And I'm not sure how, he just did posts on Facebook and everything like that. And then just everybody from everywhere was tossing in emails and saying, they want to try out. And then he gave instructions and people submitted video recordings of themselves. And that's how we ended up. We just started with the two main characters, Littlefoot and his mom. And that's how we got Summer Jules and Larissa, and they were phenomenal. And we did have a meeting. There was like four of us, and we went through the videos of each of the auditions, and we found these voices and traditional auditioning process, I guess narrowed it down. And then we had a second pass, and then we had Summer Jules and Larissa, like I said. And then it was a while later, Joey handled all the recording, and that was interesting, because I was so amazed at how he did it. I hadn't seen it done before, where he's directing two people at sort of at the same time in different places, and they're recording and interacting with each other in two different studios. It was, I don't know, I was in awe. It was beautiful. Then we started. I think it was then that we were fleshing out more of the. We had the script done, but then we had changed some scenes a little bit. And then I think it was just a render of the characters. And then we had announced that Summer Jules was doing Littlefoot and Larissa was doing the mom. And there was some post we did that had the characters, and it blew up the internet for a bit.
Mm.
And then we started getting all these comments. And so me and Joey are going through the comments and looking at all these, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. And it was amazing. It was so much positive, so much positive. And then I saw some names I recognized. I'm like, wait a minute, I know that person. And I saw a post from Christina V. And I'm like, Christina V is, and she said, "Oh, if you need a voice, let me know." And I'm like, so I pointed that out to Joy, and I'm like, we got professional voice actors contacting us. And so then it went from there, and we contacted Christina, and she agreed to do Sarah. And then the more it got popular, the more we were hearing from more well-known professional voice actors. And Joey did most of the contact stuff, and his presence was known, so they got together and then started. I mean, it was almost like we had whoever we wanted, grabbed the best for the part.
No, absolutely. As I say, I remember seeing the names like that were attached to the project, and I was like, that is crazy." Again, like these are people that you see in, huge industry projects, and
Yeah,
here they are
yeah,
acting for a fan film
yeah,
for
yeah.
not
I
much
mean,
more
it
than the
was.
love of the game.
I
It's like
mean,
that's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. AJ and Jason. I mean, it's like, I mean, this project has truly been like a dream come true. It's great people working on it, incredible talent, giving everything they can. It's beautiful.
No, it is. It's incredibly cool. And I mean, you mentioned obviously that you are a fan of the original Land Before Time. So I asked Joey this as well, and I'm curious for your answer as well. Out of all the songs in, that lineage, what would you say is your favorite one?
It's definitely the first one, the original. I know Joey said he liked eggs. I mean, that was definitely that's definitely it's got a groove to it. After I saw the post by Joey and I started working on things, and I hadn't seen the film in ages. I'll admit that. And then I went and watched the digital copy, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I haven't seen it in so long, and then ever since then, the whole time I've been through this project, that song has been stuck in my head.
So, I mean, thank you ever so much for coming on. You've shared some great insights about Littlefoot.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This has been fun.